Yes, what is happening? So, welcome to Rikki Talks 2. This is episode 2 with my good friend Ryan. A lot of people will know him as Troy Ryan if you know him from the wrestling. And really looking forward to this conversation. Someone I've known for quite a few years now. He's actually the first wrestler that I ever trained in the gym with. And it's another case of knowing someone but not really knowing much about them and really interested in digging a little bit deeper and what's made him the man he is today. So how is it going, brother? Are you all right?
Aye, nice one, Rick. Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. Yeah, been looking forward to this for a while now. So yeah,
Good stuff, mate. Good. So just before we got started, just before we get started, mate, just come off a bit of a heavy weekend, haven't you? So what have you been doing? How many matches did you do this weekend? Over
too
no,
many. Yeah,
yeah, in one day actually, not even a weekend.
that was it. Yeah, I was pretty glad for a day off on Sunday, to be honest. So yeah, bit busy week last week. So I did actually. Don't know if you know, I wrestled on the Monday night as well for
Oh,
catch. Had a laugh there.
fucking hell.
And then Saturday, yeah, we had a tournament at Future Shock, which was there was three matches there, straight in the car off to York to do True Grit for another tag match. So yeah, busy one, four on Saturday. But I call it a day off. We still went to the gym, but bit of arms, something fun. There's
Yeah,
no
that's it. That's
yeah, no squats and
it.
deadlifts on Sunday, but yeah, very busy schedule. But it was yeah, good fun weekend. Thanks.
Yeah, a lot going on with it. You got how many? But there's so many. Most weekends you'll be busy now with it, won't you?
Yeah, I think like so last year was my busiest year by quite a way actually. I think there was like 80 odd matches in the end. And it's one of those where I was like, oh, slow down and stuff like that. But at the same time, like I just, I love it. And it's nice when, people are prioritizing you and want to feature you and stuff. So it's a fantastic problem to have. But yeah, your knees are your knees at the end of the day. So
It's a weird drug wrestling, isn't it?
100%, mate.
No,
Yeah.
no matter how much you want to slow down, you just can't quite. I think I mentioned it on the one with Will. I think I retired 4 times last year, and I'm still here. So
That's it.
yeah,
Barrow's Terry Funk over there. That's it.
that's it. That's it. That's it. And fucking, I probably look worse than him to be fair though. So. No, so obviously on this podcast, I don't want to just talk about wrestling. I'm really interested in some of the things that you've achieved, like with your powerlifting. I know you played American football before you got into wrestling, so I kind of just want to dig a little bit deeper on that. And maybe myself and some of the listeners will learn something about you that we didn't know. So to start off with, what do we need to know about your childhood that's kind of shaped the person you are now?
Yeah, so I think like growing up in terms of like influences and stuff like that. I think obviously like wrestling's a huge deal for anyone like sort of our age and stuff. You had the everyone says bigger, larger than life characters, but they're always like The Rock and guys like Brock Lesnar, Batista, all just big jacked up guys and wrestling. That was what wrestling was to me. I know it's evolved a lot, it's changed a lot, and but growing up, that's what it was to me. Also, like I do like not normal football. I won't call it soccer. I'm not
Yeah.
that. But I grew
Just
up
a
watching it.
ball.
What for footy?
Yeah.
Man City.
Oh, I didn't
But
know that. I didn't know that. So let's knock this fucking call off now.
yeah, there you go. Done. Yeah. But I've been much more and still am much more into the NFL. So again, it's like sort of big, sort of like kind of physical game and things like that. And then obviously I could get on to talking about how I ended up playing. But I think the other influence as well. And I'm going. I think it's next month as well. So me and my mum every Christmas we watch World's Strongest Man.
Oh,
I
that's
always loved watching the strongman. It's not Christmas in our house until World's Strongest Man's on, and so I'd always loved watching like strength sports and stuff like that, which was weird because like I am like a really skinny kid naturally, like up until probably the age of like 15, 16. I think I weighed less than 9 stone. I was a really like quite a skinny kid, so I think it's a bit weird that that's like a lot of the things that I watched and I was into and stuff like that. But yeah, the strength sports and stuff. Obviously, again, that's another thing that's blown up quite a lot. You've got mainstream guys like Eddie Hall, everybody's from around your end, near
yeah,
Stoke
yeah.
way.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
when me, yeah.
that's it. You've got Eddie Hall, you've got Thor Bjornsson, who's in Game of Thrones and stuff like that. So it's a bit more kind of mainstream, but I feel like there's a lot of parallels between that and with the wrestling actually, because you being a British wrestler, everyone's like, oh, Big Daddy, Giant Haystacks. Everyone remembers the 80s, and then there's like a bit of a kind of a lull period. Remember the 80s in Britain at least, and then there's the Attitude Era in America that everyone remembers, and then after that, it's as if it stopped. It's kind of similar with like strength sports, really. Everyone remembers like Jeff Capes and
Yeah,
like
it comes in waves, doesn't it?
that's it, yeah. And then no one remembers that interim period. And now everyone knows like your Eddie Halls and your Thor Bjornsons. But I always used to like, I don't know how much Strongman you've watched, but my
I used to watch it at Christmas as a kid. I watched it
that's
a
it.
period of time when Mariusz Pudzianowski was.
Mariusz Pudzianowski, he was the man, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did, and I was because I was a kid. I was ignorant at the time that like they were all on massive amounts of PEDs and things like that. I didn't realize that was. I didn't realize that was really
100%.
a thing.
Yeah, I do remember it was even a couple of years ago, like I say a couple of years, within like the last 5 years, like my mum turned to me and asking, like, so is Eddie Hall on steroids? I'm like, yeah, of course he is, like no, I'm too like what he's achieved is absolutely unbelievable. It's incredible. And I don't think there's a person on earth or in the history of earth that could do what he's done without that. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's not spoken about. Like it's not something I've done personally, but I'd never ever stigmatize it.
Let,
But
let's 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 speak about that for a minute. Let's speak about PEDs for a minute because in my opinion, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass here, you're probably the biggest natural person I know.
I'll take that.
And that's including some natural bodybuilders as well. You're right. You're definitely on a par. You're definitely on a par with some natural bodybuilders. I know. Is that something you've ever considered?
Yeah, it's stuff I've considered. Like I make a lot of jokes about it now. I think I wind up Art Claire a lot just by joking every day. So it's like you watch the wrestling, watch the Royal Rumble at the weekend. I see Andrade come out and he's like built like this. Now I'm like, I'm gonna get gear, But it's one of those like say I'd never say like I'd never ever ever do it, But I think like I've made it this far. I feel like you need to if it's something what a lot of people don't get as well is it's something that it's not a substitute for training. There's a lot you can achieve without it. And it depends what your own goals are as well. So it's just and it's not something that I've considered that the risks outweigh the benefits for me personally.
Yeah,
But it's different for everyone, isn't it?
yeah. I took them when I was younger for that exact reason you said there to cut corners. So I got myself in pretty good nick, but in that
Yeah,
but the thing was I weren't eating right. I was going out partying at the weekends. I was
yeah,
taking them for the wrong reasons, and then because I didn't really know what I was doing with them and the excess that I was taking in a short period of time, then there was massive
yeah. Side
like
effects and all
and then
sorts.
this was before I kind of was educated on them. You just bought them off some
That's it. There's
just
very
bought
little talk,
at the
and
yeah. Bought them off some geezer at the gym. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, I think that's it. Is it's just there's very little. No one likes to because it's not really admitted. It's kind of in the mainstream, but like and I think that's where a lot of the issues kind of compound is because you've got like pretty much every movie physique you see. Like I mean, look at Wolverine last year. Looks unbelievable, absolutely fantastic. Hugh Jackman's best shape he's ever been in. But come on, he ain't doing that by himself in his 50s, is he? And
But
then
to be honest, I think pretty much any actor that's
yeah, yeah, but
in good shape will be taking some form of testosterone.
you paid millions of dollars to do so. You've got doctors with proper procedures and stuff like that. But the problem is to people at like maybe like our level and local gym level is you don't have access to that. You don't have education for that. And as you say, it's just some bloke who's like, here you go, mate, have this, and
Yeah,
you'll look sound for Ibiza. Like that's
yeah.
kind of what it is, isn't it? So yeah, but that's I think that's the main issue with it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it is an issue. It's an issue I see in wrestling a lot. There's lots of guys that we've seen, like even in British wrestling, that blow up massive and then they look like shit and then they disappear and that. And it's something you see, quite a bit. Like I say, I'm not against them whatsoever. Do you know?
No, no, not at all.
I think if you try to be a professional bodybuilder or a professional strongman, then
Yeah.
you're part of it.
I think
Unfortunately,
there's certain people who just should avoid it like the plague. Like, just quick one for you. Like, I was at the gym a couple of months ago, and just training. And a young lad comes up to us, and he's like, "Oh, how many reps?" I was like doing some bench press. So he's like, "How many reps you getting out of that?" And we just ended up having a bit of chat, and he was like, "Oh, what you on?" And I was like, "Now." He's like, "Oh, are you like off your cycle?" I was like, "No." And he's like, "All right," because I've just had. He's like, "I've had growth. I've had this. I've had that." And he told me he's 18. And it's like, bloody hell, I was like, you are 18, you are basically on test by being 18.
yeah, yeah,
And he was like saying, oh, I'm getting bloods done, I'm gonna go on TRT and stuff like this. I'm like, nah, like I think when that's where the misinformation comes. And obviously, like when you've got social media and stuff like that is, and to this day, I want to attain, like I said, I see Andrade at the Rumble, like, bloody hell, I want to look like him, and it's completely natural, but I think at
Yeah.
least we're of an age where you can remember it not being like that.
Yeah,
Whereas I
I think
think
as well, people with TRT is testosterone replacement therapy. If
yeah,
your test levels are low or you've damaged yourself by taking a lot of testosterone
yeah,
when you're younger, that's when you need TRT. When an 18-year-old kid's saying, I need TRT,
yeah,
you fucking don't. You've got plenty of test.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But the problem is, like you say, you got your fucking TikToks, you got videos
yeah,
on YouTube from some of these influencers that are full of shit,
yeah.
so.
That's it. But nobody's that upfront. Well, I think there's a lot of influencers now who maybe are more upfront about it, like, and that's why it's a bit more accessible for like young lads and stuff. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that's not really talked about that much, and
Yeah. And to
it's
be
a lot
fair,
more widespread than people think, and
yeah.
it's just not very well regulated, I don't think.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Because the thing is, as well, when you can buy it offline and that, you don't know what you're getting. You can stick a label on saying that
Yeah,
it's tested and that, but anyone can do that. And you can't go to the police if it's not fucking tested. 'Cause you
yeah,
book,
exactly. You shouldn't be buying it anyway, should you?
keep it
Yeah.
offline. You know what I mean? So anyway, just pulling back to what we were talking about before. Then, so you said, growing up, you're into wrestling, strongman, all that kind of stuff, larger than life characters. I imagine you probably watched Gladiators when you were younger as well.
100%. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, all that kind of good stuff. Who was your favorite quickly
In Gladiators.
growing up?
Well, Jet, I feel was my first love, like I think it was everyone of a certain ages.
Yeah,
But yeah, of the blokes, I always thought Rhino, he was a bit of a beast. He was
Rhino.
always good with the pugil sticks, wasn't he? I mean, Wolf's the goat, though.
Yeah,
I've got to admit. But
yeah,
I always thought Rhino, he was a bit of a unit with the old pugil sticks.
yeah. I quite like the new series as well. Like,
Good. Yeah, really good.
I like the new series, and it must be tougher for the gladiators as well because everyone's like into some form of training these days, aren't they? I think it's more popular to be into training now than it is to be into going out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. If you watch it back in the day, you've got these gladiators who are just massive, jacked up dudes, and like some accountant comes in,
yeah.
who's just some skinny bloke.
That's
Whereas now, like you say, it's a lot more mainstream. And like, I mean, Wes was on, wasn't he, wrestling?
yeah, of course, yeah, well, yeah. He came
And
second, didn't
yeah,
he?
oh, he was brilliant. Yeah, I saw him last week. But he's in great. He could be a gladiator himself. He's in great nick.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh,
changed a lot.
so going through that, then you said that you were 15, 16. What was that the point that you started training then? And what when you first went in the gym, what kind of thing did you start doing then? How did that kind of journey start for you?
So funny one, like so. I without deeping it too much, I definitely got in the gym because I was really insecure, as every sort of 14, 15-year-old lad does.
Yeah,
But it's one of them where, like, again, it's just like an education on it. I had no idea what I was doing. I've always had very good work ethic, and I'd always apply myself. But the direction of that would be, and so I was always, like I say, a very skinny kid. I was very sporty though. I always played a lot of sports. But in terms of like my actual frame and stuff, I was always a very skinny kid. And I always remember first starting training and hearing the advice of, if you don't want to, because everyone's like, I don't want to get too big. I've been trying to get too big for about 20 years now, or what, 15 years. But I remember when I started, it was always you do reps if you want to get lean, and
yeah,
you lift big if you want to get big. And I also didn't quite understand diet properly, so I was eating. I thought if you ate no fat, you wouldn't put on any fat. If you just ate protein, so like it was. I remember like GCSEs, we were allowed into town for our lunch rather than like school dinners and stuff like that. So we always used to go into town for lunch, and my dinner would consist of like a fruit salad and like some chicken and stuff. And I remember being about 8.5 stone, but like so ridiculously lean because I'd go to the gym and I'd get like the tens or the eights for shoulder press or something like that, but do sets at 20, 30 reps. I do hundreds and hundreds of sit-ups and stuff like that.
yeah,
And that was like my introduction to training. And so like the thought process was, well, if you don't eat fat, you won't gain fat. And if you do reps, I'll just get, like shredded. And I mean I kind of did,
yeah,
but also like, I was really, really small and stuff. And it was only when with your mates and stuff, a lot of people are competing. Well, I can bench 60, oh, I can bench 80, and stuff like that. And that's when I started to get a little bit more motivated to, get a little bit bigger. And obviously, your mates are rinsing you for, oh, I'm miles bigger than you are and stuff like that. So, in a kind of roundabout way, that's how I ended up changing from just being like, because there was no education on it. Just me and my mates would go to we had like our school backed onto like like a leisure centre.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so we just go leisure centre gym, do a few machines and stuff. Never train legs, and and that was that. That's how it sort of started. But then as you get a bit older and you need to get bigger, you want to get bigger, and then I started university and stuff like that. And then from there, joining the American football team and playing at uni, I just like blew up in size just because I got a lot more educated on my training.
Yeah.
Like surrounding yourself with like good people that know what they're on about.
Yeah.
And like, I just always remember that from first year of uni to second year of uni, like it was almost like unrecognizable, really.
Yeah. How old were you then? About 18?
Yeah, yeah, I think 18, 19. I think 19 was where it's like, oh, this guy looks like he actually works out.
So was the main difference then just literally the volume of food you're eating and realizing you can eat fat as well? Was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
fat?
that's it. It's like I must have been on about 1,200 calories a day or something like that, as a young lad as well. And
Mm.
then yeah, it was like I say, it was joining the team at uni, and then having that summer and stuff where like you're 18, you don't really have a job, all you could do is train and eat and stuff. And then I came back for second year, and people were like, what's happened to him, sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. So how many years did you play American football then? How did that because obviously in
Yeah,
England
yeah, it's
it's
mental.
not like I like what I know a few people that are coach have played American football like because
Yeah.
like Barrow where I'm from had their
Mhm.
own team that traveled around, so I know a few of them, but beyond that I don't really see it.
Yeah, that's it, and it's a funny one because it's not a big deal at all. It's akin to like, there's varying degrees of like standards, but if you use like a footy analogy,
Yeah,
it's probably somewhere between Sunday League and Conference North kind of, levels of like sort of professionalism. But on in Europe, it's very big. Like I've got a friend who that's his full time living. He plays in Europe. He's been in the CFL, played in Canada and stuff. So it's a lot bigger over there. But it's one of them where so like I got into that so I always watched the NFL growing up. Like was like a big fan. I had the Madden games on the Xbox and stuff. And then when I started at uni, there's like the athletic union fair. I always knew I wanted to join a sports team, but I didn't know which one. So I'd gone down and met some of the lads, got a leaflet, went to the first trade. I just loved it. Really, really nice set of lads. Really, something different as well. And so I just sort of never looked back from there. But I ended up so I played 4 seasons at university. So I played 4 years there. And I played 3 seasons at like senior league, like men's league level. And some of those overlapped. So I'd play in the winter at university and then I'd play in the summer for a men's team. But I think the catalyst for me stopping really was graduating uni, moving to Manchester, because I did go down to train with the Manchester Titans, who they're probably the best team in the country at the moment. They won the last two.
yeah,
And they were great. It's no fault of theirs. It was just you go from being a university student, working part time. So I always had like a part time job at uni, and it's like fun with all your mates and stuff. To now I'm working full time in an office. It's a bit of a grind, and I'm also giving up. Ironically, I'm doing that now with wrestling, but but like you're giving up your time to do something, and it just wasn't the same for me. So I feel like it's more like I love the sport. I always, it's Super Bowl at the weekend. I'm going to watch that. But it was more like the team and stuff like that was probably why I stuck around. I think I realized when it came to leaving uni, really.
yeah. So did you meet Chris American football? Is that how you met?
Weirdly, we have actually played against each other without realizing.
Right. Okay.
So I played for a team in Doncaster, and Chris played for Lancashire Wolverines. I think they're based like Preston way, maybe, and we have actually played against each other. He'll tell you he won, they won, So, but we didn't know each other at the time. So
Okay.
how weird is that? That like now he's like my best mate, my tag partner. But
Yeah.
probably 5 years earlier, we actually played a game against each other without realizing.
Right. Okay. So from American football, then you stopped American football. How did you get into this crazy world that is wrestling? Because this was something I was talking to Ryan about. It's weird
Yeah,
because we know so many people involved in wrestling and around wrestling. You don't realize how small of a circle and how bizarre the world of it actually is because you're in it. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
from the outside, you're like, actually, the circle's not as huge as you think, and it's fucking bonkers as well. So how did you find yourself going from American football office job into the wrestling world? Then how did that come about?
Yeah, so I started a new job in Altrincham, and so I work in like digital marketing. It's like a day job, and Ashton Smith happened to work for the same agency,
Yeah,
and so I didn't really know British wrestling was a thing. I've
yeah.
been to one show, NGW, back in Hull, like years and years before, but I wasn't aware. Like I knew WWE came touring because I'd go and watch that, but I did not know independent wrestling was.
I was the same actually because I just thought the ones that came to my local town hall and like there was a Power
Yeah,
Ranger against a fucking fake Undertaker or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah,
That's what it was. The WWE, all that, you know.
yeah, 100%. And everyone still thinks that. It's either, and I always think that's a mad one with wrestling. Of like people say to you, like, oh, WWE, but you wouldn't say to someone who was a footballer, oh, you either play for Real Madrid or you shit. Do you know what I mean? There is actually like some, like quite a big spectrum in between,
Yeah,
of so yeah, I happened to work with Ashton Smith, and it was one of them where like everyone gets talking about wrestling, whatever and stuff. And when you start a new job, and someone's like, "Oh, do you like wrestling?" I'm like, "All right," thinking I absolutely love wrestling.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, him over there, he's a wrestler. And I was like, oh, right. So now I can actually, sort of talk about it and stuff.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I spoke to Ashton and, we spoke about training. He's like, oh, big lad, whatever. And stuff. And, I started talking to him about wrestling. And he was like, why don't you give it a go? And I just didn't know that that was a thing and it was possible. So I signed up to the beginner's course at Future Shock. And weirdly, I almost think it's like
How old were you? How old were you at this point?
20, I think I was 24 or 25 before I got in the ring, which I think is a good thing because there's a
Yeah,
lot of lads who are 14, 15, taking bumps and stuff. And, I remember how small I was at that age, thinking, whereas now, obviously, being a grown man, being
yeah.
bigger and stuff like that, but
I was similar. I was 27 when
yeah,
I
Chris
first.
was 20. Yeah, I think Chris was 27, I was 25.
Right.
Or either way, yeah, there's a couple of years between us of when I started it, and it's almost quite kind of fated because I remember the beginners course was 4 weeks, and my ex girlfriend's parents had come over. We were on holiday in Wales, come over from France, and you had to do all 4 weeks of the course. And I remember driving from Wales to Manchester to do a 2 hour training session and back again because I wanted to complete that course. But if I'd have started on the one before or the one after, me and Chris happened to be on the same beginners course. And when you see, you start your beginners, you see another guy who's a big dude and he's wearing an NFL top. It was like, we're just going to be best mates now, aren't we?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
so, but yeah, that's how I started. I just happened to look out of working at the same agency as Ashton Smith. And obviously he's gone on to WWE, won championships, all sorts. So yeah, just a bit of luck with that, to be honest.
No, it's absolutely incredible. And so you're there, beginners course. Chris is there now. You and Chris, current tag team, Meat Wagon, not Synergy anymore.
Right.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah.
But at what point then did you decide to be a tag team? Was it just you were training well together, enjoying each other's company, and thought, do you know what, to start off with, so we go in as a tag team? Was that kind of how it started, and then it just got rolling from there?
Yeah, I think like we were really good for each other. I think when we started training, like both of us are like pretty good athletes and stuff. And there's always that like little bit of friendly competition of you want to push each other. We always push each other to get better. And I think we knew pretty early on that we wanted to be a team. Like we just got on really well, and obviously became quite good mates. And then yeah, I just think like it was always really sort of fated to happen, to be honest.
Yeah. So how many years you've been teaming together now then?
So 2018 we debuted, but I don't think we'd been. I think that February 2019, I believe, was our first match when we were Synergy. I've bit of a geek. I've got a spreadsheet somewhere. I can find out.
I did it my
Yeah.
old job, but then I left. I was like, shit, I've lost it all.
You lost it. Oh, gutted.
So 2019 was when you officially debuted as Synergy. Then, so what's that? Five and a
About
half
six.
years,
Yeah, 6 years now.
6 years.
February. Can't believe it. Yeah.
So let's say 18 months of those didn't exist
Yeah.
due to pandemic and whatnot.
Yeah.
So let's say 4 years for
Call
argument.
it, yeah.
You've been tagging together. How many tag team championships have you won?
10. We won 10.
Is that
Uh,
10 different promotions or 10 total? Because I
we've
know,
won 10 total. We've won a couple twice. So hold on. I'm going to flex on.
look at that there. Look at that. See that second one? That second one there from the
It's a
top.
nice one, that, isn't it? That's
That's
just,
literally my property.
yeah, that's it. That one. But yeah, so we've won a couple twice. So Odyssey twice, Future Shock twice, PW twice actually, and then I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, Tidal, True Grit. I don't know. It'll come back to me. But yeah, no. So we're really enjoying it. You know, I think this is hopefully end up speaking to Chris at some point. But he's in unbelievable shape.
Yeah, I'm going to reach
Absolutely
out to Chris
smashed
and
it.
see him. Yeah,
And I genuinely believe now we are the best we've ever been. You know, in the ring, I think we're the best we've ever been. I think we look the best we've ever looked. You know,
yeah,
I think we're the most confident we've ever been with everything. You know, like whether that's in the ring, talking and stuff. I think it's probably our best work, really. I think for the last 6 months or so. So
yeah. Because
want to keep going, really.
to be fair, like looking at Chris at the moment, I remember actually after Christmas I came back. We came back. Was it after Christmas or was it towards the back end of last year? And I remember coming to the show and thinking, no, it was towards the back end of last
Yeah,
year.
it will have been.
Last
Yeah,
show before Christmas, and like I was like yourself, Chris, Alexander Gray,
yeah.
Ryan was
RPD.
there,
Yeah,
RPD,
Ryan Hunter. Yeah.
everyone was fucking shredded. It was like, what
Well,
the
why have we all just decided to get in shape? What's
like
happened?
literally from the summer at the back end of the
Yeah.
year, it's like fucking hell, everyone's lean as fuck here. Like
I know it's insane. Yourself as well. I
yeah,
remember seeing you at the last show.
yeah.
Yeah.
That honestly,
I had to make a point to come over and be like, your back looks massive.
it was funny. It was funny actually. I like this is fucking minging, but I shaved my back last week, like before the show this
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah,
And I was happy with myself when I took my progress pictures yesterday because you can't see when you're
yeah,
so fucking hairy. It's an absolute nightmare.
yeah,
But anyway, so tag team wise, something you're gonna totally continue with? Is that
yeah.
like do you think you still will be tagging right the way through till you decide that that'll do?
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. I think like we've got quite different circumstances, and this is why I'm so proud of Chris for doing what he's done because
Mm.
he's got a young daughter, he's got a family and stuff. Whereas for me, like my girlfriend's a wrestler, so like
You
we're
get you
very
get
yeah, exactly. So the fact that he's able to like be a good dad and balance his family commitments and do all that, like I couldn't do it. I'm not like fair play. I'm in absolute awe of him doing that.
yeah.
And but I will always, like I always say, I would prioritize us having a match together over a match by myself every day of the week. I think but there's been a few places where I've kind of worked myself, and I think I'm happy to have a slightly busier schedule than him. Obviously, he probably values the time off a bit more with his family and stuff, but it's not to say that there's any kind of lack of ambition there. We both want to go as far as we can and train hard. But I think maybe if my schedule's a little busier, that's kind of how it's been for the last little while. But yeah, I
Which
always prioritize us doing
yeah,
something together.
yeah, which is understandable as well, isn't it? It's
Just
different
circumstances, isn't it?
circumstances.
Yeah,
I know from having a fiance that's not into wrestling really that
yeah,
when my schedule was busier when we got together, it used to drive her mad being
yeah.
away
It's hard,
on
isn't it?
weekends and that at a time that's why now I literally only do the Morecambe one, obviously because of
Yeah,
I'm involved in it and the Barrow one because that's my hometown. So
and
it's it's
is
essentially a trip home every couple of months because the schedule is just
that's it. And I think it's just got to be fulfilling. I think is the main thing.
yeah,
So, like I say, it is made easier. Like, I mean, Claire's busier than me at times, but even then, we find like, look, we really need some time off because it can be quite all-consuming. I think the main thing is just making sure that what you're doing is it doesn't have to be a 5-star match every time, or oh well, I'm not winning belts or in the main event, so I won't do it. Nothing like that at all. But I think it's just got to be fulfilling, and it's got to be worth. I've got to enjoy this more than not doing it,
yeah,
or being able
exactly.
to do it
Exactly. Because the
altogether.
thing is, if it's not fun, you're literally just spending your full weekends away battering your fucking body for no reason, are you really? If you don't,
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the main thing, isn't it? Is that it's enjoyable and it's fulfilling.
that's it. So on the subject then of battering your body and being at your physical peak. So obviously, as well as the wrestling, as well as the American football, you've done a bit of powerlifting as well. I think you're probably the strongest person I've ever trained with. I think that day when I came through and trained with you, and I think it was the first time we met actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit properly. Yeah,
and like I was deadly. I was on very low calories then because I was on that's when I was doing Nush's thing. I was trying to get as
Yeah,
lean.
yeah.
I think it was on like 1,600 calories or something, and chose to do deadlifting. So I think I actually hit a personal best that day.
PB, I
Yeah, I
remember
think
it.
I got
Yeah,
like 185 kg or something like
yeah.
that, 1,600 calories, and then I think you had that for breakfast, and then fucking you were pulling like 300 and odd or whatever. It's, yeah. So on that subject, then obviously you've also competed in powerlifting as well, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Yeah, I competed in 20. It was the back end of 2022. I competed. I did quite well as well. Like I won the Northern qualifier for my weight class. I was in the under 100 class,
Yeah.
and I did actually hit the total for Worlds as well.
Right.
Didn't end up like following it through, and it's something I'm really glad I did. I enjoyed it a lot. I found the training to be quite taxing, quite mentally taxing more than anything.
Yeah.
I got insanely strong. And like, I think it's one of those where if I really wanted to do it and I could dedicate 6 months to it, I might not get to the proper peak of work, but I'll be there or thereabouts. I think like
You,
even
you,
now when I
you'd
do,
be, you'd be one of the best naturals there for sure.
yeah, I think so. And I feel like so with the strength training, so again, it's always that like at uni, oh, I can bench this, I can deadlift this, you know. So we'd always with your mates a bit of like friendly competition, always wanting to be bigger and stronger and stuff like that. But I feel like through COVID, that might be this may have been the strongest I've ever been because I wasn't wrestling. Like there was no wrestling, and I had not quite as nice as yours, but I did have a bit of a garage gym set up where
The
a
synergy.
friend of mine had the Synergym. Yeah, he had a strongman unit, and obviously he can't we can't train anymore. So like we kind of came to I'm very grateful we came to an arrangement where I'd store a lot of that kit and but I got to use it effectively. So, I hit some silly things there. And when the gyms reopened, that's when I was like, I just hit a 300 belt with deadlift like it was now, and I was like, I couldn't believe it, but that's all it was. It was just training every day, every day, every day. But my first match back, I was gassed. I was about 108 kilos, massive. My arms like this, but like, I wasn't in great like aesthetic shape, I don't think. I looked all right, but I wasn't, but I was
Yeah,
absolutely
hell of a lot of muscle, but carrying a lot of fat
huge.
as well that you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, that's it. And but yeah, some of the lifts I could do were ridiculous. And then transitioning to powerlifting afterwards, like the training would be something like five squat doubles. It'd take me nearly an hour to do, and which it was quite taxing, but I enjoyed it on the day. Like hit some good PBs on the day. Like 260 back squats, things like that. But I actually watched an interesting video with Jordan Grace. She's just been in the
Yeah,
Rumble, and she was saying I'm comparing her, and it's similar to how I feel now. Obviously not to that level, but she was a powerlifter competing at powerlifting. And she's like, you just can't do it alongside wrestling. So I had a few bad injuries. I don't know if you remember me coming to Morecambe when my quad was purple and I
yeah,
just like a big intramuscle tear in my quad. I'd like misaligned my hip. I've had like a tear at this side of my pec and stuff. Like I've had like quite a lot of injuries, and I just don't think you can do both to that extent. And I love wrestling more than I love powerlifting. So like you can't pursue both 100%. I don't think.
yeah. No, absolutely. And like I said, that's kind of what I was going to come on to there is so now since I've known you, you're probably in the best aesthetic shape that I've
I
seen.
appreciate that. Yeah,
Well as being absolutely jacked still. That's why I asked about the natural bodybuilding competition. But obviously, as well, the thing is, you got to diet yourself to an extreme with that. So
yeah.
you're almost too far at the other end, aren't you? And if you've got a social life, it's probably not good, is it? But how are you finding things now? Then now that you're training a different, are you training a different way? How does that look for you now that to get the balance with
Yeah.
wrestling, aesthetics, managing injuries? What does that kind of look like for you now?
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's always that bit in my mind where I was like, I wish I was stronger, I wish I was stronger and stuff. But I'm willing to take a 5 to 10% decline in all my big lifts to look and move better. The first thing I've noticed is like I don't get tired wrestling really anymore. Obviously, everyone gets tired, but like I've got I can wrestle a 20 plus minute singles match and be fine, at the end, which is obviously good. I think the training has changed. Like me and Chris were talking about it the weekend. He's got the full bodybuilder route. Everything's just bro machines for reps and stuff, and he looks unbelievable. So I am coach. Obviously, that's your job. Big advocate of coaching, and that has been the biggest change. So before I've always been like programmed mostly with weightlifting. I wasn't through, ironically, when I was probably at my strongest, I was just lifting what I wanted, just get,
I think having that gym as well, because you're limited to equipment, all you can really do is overhead press, deadlift, and a few other bits
yeah,
anyway.
just get massive.
You
Yeah,
don't have all the other machines. Let's go
no,
this
exactly.
bar and weight.
And but yeah, being coached makes a massive difference. So I've always so this is the past, I'd say 11 months is where I've really, it's diet is the change. So I've always ate well.
Mm.
I don't tend to eat like shit, order maybe a takeaway a month, something like that.
Yeah.
But it was being on the road. It was I've got one of them apps, your finance apps that tells you how much you spend. And I spend like a third of what I did on like McDonald's or even less now because you're out all day. Like, I'll just go Mackey's, whatever and stuff. Whereas,
You're one of the only wrestlers I know that still has the Tupperwares on wrestling days and
yeah, yeah,
got the Mackies on the way out.
and that's it. So I always felt like I ate well, but not like measurably well,
Yeah.
And that was like the final piece of the puzzle for me. Really,
Good
is
quality food, but not measured out food.
yeah, that's it. Whereas now, like it's measurably well, and I don't actually find it that invasive personally. I think it's fine. And it's something that I'm kind of kicking myself I didn't start earlier, to be honest. But I
I
always
think
remember there was, well,
it comes down with being organized. I think nutrition.
yeah,
It's not as difficult as people make it out to be.
it's not.
As long as you're organized and you find the foods that you enjoy, so it's not that fucking bland.
Yeah, that's it. And it's not like, it doesn't always have to be like fish and a rice cake. You can eat stuff. And I always think like it's the same with what you put in and what you get out. Like there's a lot of like, oh, you have to put in extreme effort if you want extreme results, I find. And it's like, but that doesn't fit in with everyone. But it's like you can't be like, I want to look like Dave Batista, and be like, oh, but I'll have a few pints every now and then. Like, because Dave Batista didn't have a few pints every now and then, like, or you can be in great shape and feel good about yourself and do that. Whereas I personally take it to another level. Like, I don't drink, I measure everything and stuff like that. So I think I do want a bit more of the extreme side of results.
Yeah,
But
there's,
then
there's,
like Rick
there's
said,
almost a level to it. You got to manage
yeah,
expectations against what you're willing to do.
100%.
This is something
And
I say to my clients a lot. I'm
yeah,
like, I want to look this way because with that, when I give them feedback,
yeah.
it's that on what they've said. It's like, well, you told me you need to look like this, and to do this, unfortunately,
Yes,
I
that's
have to
it.
do this. However, if you tell me that you want to feel healthier, be a bit leaner,
Yeah.
a little bit stronger, still be able to have a takeaway at the weekend, like
But
then
just feel better in
you're okay
yourself.
with
Yeah.
this. Do you know what I mean? And it's
But if
managing.
someone comes to you and goes, right, I want to look like Thor in Avengers, it's like, okay, we can get there, but you
But
might
yeah,
not like what you're going to have to do along the way. So,
what a lot of
like,
people don't like is the fact they've got to lose all the body fat first to build the muscle generally.
yeah,
Unless you're willing to be very, very uncomfortable and take longer.
that was it for me. Like, I got it in my head, numbers of like, because I was always like quite a skinny kid. Like, I dip below 100 kilos, I'm small,
Like,
that's what I got in my head. But whereas, like, I have people telling me, oh, you look bigger than you ever have, better than you ever have. I'm like 92 kilos at the moment. So, that is such a hard thing mentally to get past. I think for some people it might be the other way, but like I need to, if they're a bigger person and then they see themselves putting weight back on, it's like, no, you're probably actually building muscle. But that was such a hard, and I'm still not past it now, to be honest. And every time I step on the scales, I hate it.
you think there's a bit of body dysmorphia there as well?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think the transition of that, of like, I had an interview with Kevin Nash where he said it's better to look like the world's strongest man, be the world's strongest man. And like, it's a pretty good point in wrestling, at least. Like, everyone remembers like Lex Luger and Ultimate Warrior, whereas like Ken Patera like finished third at world's strongest man. And, great, in my opinion, a great wrestler, but he's not like a household name, is he? So I think that's it. Is it's like there is that element. I don't want to call it ego because I've never been like, oh, I'm this, and this. But like, like I probably can't bench 4 plates at the moment. It was very cool when I could, but also I can get through my matches. I look better. And that's
I say this to people as well, and I say this to my clients a lot because what I find a lot is people are like, oh, I just want to feel better, I want to be functionally better, I want to do this, I want to do this. it's okay to actually want to fucking look better and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like
I
and
do.
like and like the
Yeah,
way you look more. But a lot of
yeah,
it looks like it's a taboo thing to be able to
yeah,
say,
yeah. To say
"Oh,
like,
let
no,
me
I
get on."
want to.
Do you know what I mean? It's like that's okay.
Yeah. And I feel like I've still got a way to go, with it. But I think that I can't advocate more for, measure everything, your training, your food and stuff like that. Again, I think it's something where maybe some people shouldn't be, but like I was speaking to you before, you can dress things up as much as you want. Are you in a surplus or in a deficit?
Yeah.
And obviously it matters the makeup of what you're eating and what you're doing and your
Possibly.
training and stuff. But
But like you say, it's goal dependent. There's a lot of ways to do things, and for the people that don't want to count calories and that, there's little techniques and things that can almost guarantee that you're going to be in a deficit. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? That's when people like talk about fasting, or they'll go on keto, or they'll do this and
yeah,
that. A lot, what people don't realize is the main. There are obviously more
yeah,
scientific parts to it and that, but the main preface of that is it's more manageable to stay within a calorie deficit and be satiated.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
main part of it. And like you say, it's calories in versus calories out. If you're wanting to lose weight or
yeah.
put weight on, but like you
Right.
say, it's being organised. It's making sure you're having the right things. And like you said there about having a coach, it's like it's why it's so important that it's like you don't want a coach that's going to make things confusing as fuck. Basically, you want a
No.
coach to basically say, these are the volumes you want. This is how you want to be training. Let me know how you're getting on if you're struggling with anything, and then make adjustments at the right time. Because what happens is people drop a little bit on the scale or go up a little bit on the scale, they'll act
Yeah,
on emotion and then think, I need to cut all my food down. And it's
yeah,
having
yeah.
the right person to be able to say, does this look right? And it's like, look, just fucking relax. This is where we need to be.
And
You know?
that's the thing is like I got to a certain level of like without being coached, like I've hit these silly numbers and whatever without being coached, without taking care of my diet was still possible. But it's like, but you look at like an Eddie Hall, you look at a Thor Bjornsson, since they kind of cammed in the strongman, like they probably can't lift what they did, but they look a lot better. And I think it's like with my coach, you'd be the first to say, is like I'm stronger than my coach, but it doesn't matter. Like it's putting. I like the idea of putting my training in someone else's hands that I know knows more than me.
Yeah.
It's the same. I see it the same as having a financial advert. If you've got like a stockbroker or something with your money,
Yeah.
I can't do that. Like, I'd never, but this person is a paid professional, but that's his job.
Yeah.
And I think you find someone that, as you say, presents it in a clear way, knows what they're on about, and I just put my training in someone else's hands. I'm very good at like you write it down and I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's what.
I'm the same. I have a coach for that same reason. And he
Yeah,
doesn't he doesn't really tell me anything that I don't
that you
already.
don't already know. Yeah, yeah,
But like as a human, we're all fucking emotional beings. Last week, fucking I had a big binge in that last week, and I had to do
yeah,
my
yeah,
yesterday and say to him, say, mate, I fucking had a wobble last week, and it's normal. It's a human thing,
yeah.
but he's helped pull me round, and like, and I feel, and no damage has been done, and like I think that's the importance of that side of thing as well.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like being like I've had some hard truths about it. Like I've said to my coach, I've been like, it's like, what do you want to be? I was like I want to be 105 and like shredded. And he's like, you're not going to be that. Like it's like, but I need to hear it. It was like we're picking one or the other here.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to find somewhere where like, and he's kept saying you need to stop obsessing about numbers, numbers, numbers. And I still find it difficult. But he's told like that's the truth I need to hear, rather than you just going in this circle of like, I'm just training and I don't look how I want to look and stuff like that. Of just like, hey, what is achievable under the parameters of what I'm prepared to do,
yeah.
basically.
The thing is as well, like how much do you say you weigh at the moment? 92 kilos.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like 90 kilos with abs is fucking a tremendous size for someone that's not 6'8".
Well, that's the other thing is, as you said, going back to right at the start when you look at wrestling, the NFL, and stuff like that. It's like, I'll see like, oh, you look at Brock Lesnar's 280 pounds. It's like, yeah, but he's like 6'4". Or
Yeah.
you're like an NFL linebacker. It's like, yeah, he's 6'5". It's
How
like,
tall are you? About the same height as me, about 5'10" or something.
Yeah, I say 5'10". I'm probably a shade of 5'9", to be
Yeah,
honest.
well,
But
I said 5'10" because I thought it might be I was trying to boost you a bit. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, I'm nothing if not honest. But it's the same. Like our Chris, he's like 6'2", 6'3", So
Yeah, the thing
like,
is, it's a good dynamic we used to. And the thing is, like you say, you're probably putting on your best matches now because you're both probably cardiovascularly fitter than maybe not when you were playing American football when you were kids, but
I
like
think we
like
both
from a
were. Yeah,
wrestling standpoint,
hmm
like from a strength and physicality, you probably
yeah.
and I'm looking forward.
And there's no move. Then, and I think this was the thing is that there's no move I can't hit now that I can't do now that I could do 2 years ago.
Yeah, you can do the
You know,
athletic stuff and the strong
there you
stuff.
go. And it's probably easier for me to do some of the athletic stuff now. So
some some of the stuff you do and what you were doing even as a bigger guy was fucking incredible anyway. Like stuff I wouldn't even dream of trying.
I always think just with the wrestling is it's like because there's a lot of like I think some people it's like well almost like kind of like body shaming attitude. And I think some people it's very like anyone could be a wrestler and stuff, which I do agree with to a point. But I think the main thing is with wrestling, you need to look like the gimmick you're trying to portray.
100%.
And so I can't go around calling myself a super athlete if I can't lift people up and do some athletic stuff. But if your gimmick is I'm the big unit, whatever, and you're 5'6", it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But if your gimmick is you're the amazing masked luchador and you're 350 pounds, that doesn't fit. So I'm that's my kind of thoughts on it. Is you just
And
need you need to look like
that's why
what you're
Mick
trying to portray.
Foley that's why Mick Foley and Kevin Owens are great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
And,
They look like the gimmick they're portraying. You know.
exactly, and I think it is a problem in wrestling because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, and whether it hurts feelings or not, people are paying to buy tickets to come and watch it, and if they don't believe in what they're seeing, then
Yeah,
they might not come back. And
100%.
you
Like
know, and that's not a knock on anyone. Do you know what I mean?
not at all, but like
Wrestling is for
you know,
everyone, but if you want,
Spike Dudley, the Big Show. We're opposite ends of the spectrum, but
it's
you need
understanding who
to.
you are and what you can bring to it, isn't it?
That's it. But yeah, 100%. You need to look like whatever it is that you're trying to portray, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you need good people in your corner to kind of pull you a little bit and say, you know,
Yeah, maybe try something different. Oh, and my other thing on that is I feel like we did a show with Scotty Too Hottie last year. It was massive, by the way. You wouldn't believe how big he is. And it's like Scotty Too Hottie is like everyone remembers him, household name. Everyone loved Scotty Too Hottie, but not everyone could be Stone Cold. And he's made a great career of being Scotty Too Hottie, of being an undercard guy that everyone loves, everyone remembers, and he's now I don't know how old he is. He must be 50, and he's in great shape. He looks well, and he's what a fantastic career he's had. So
like he's still involved in wrestling now, whether
yeah,
that's independence training people and that. And
yeah, like agent, and I think at WWE and all sorts. So
it's incredible, mate. It's incredible. So, what does the future hold for you then, mate? What, wrestling wise, training wise, and that? What are your goals at the moment, mate? Where are we heading?
yeah, no, it's a good one. So I always think wrestling wise, like I've never been of the mentality of I need to work for WWE or I've failed or something like that. I think it's more like I've done more now than I ever thought I would, but that doesn't mean that I'm kind of lacking ambition or anything like that. And I think I just try and take it as I just want to put on as many good matches as I possibly can and try and get as high towards my own personal ceiling as I possibly can. Like I think hopefully the next steps are, I think I need to be a bit more proactive in maybe trying to go abroad or something like that. Cause, those kind of opportunities, you can't just sit by the phone and wait for them to happen. And it is hard managing, day jobs, being a grown man with an actual life and stuff with all this on the side. And training wise as well. So like, yeah, I'm gonna have like a bit of a chat with my coach. I'm in that like awkward reverse diet phase at the moment, and I think yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's like I'm not eating loads and trying to get huge, but I'm also not depleting myself and cutting. So I think I'm just
That's
gonna
why I booked that boxing event because I was in limbo
need
land and I was
something.
like, I need something to fucking aim for.
Yeah, that's how I kind of feel at the moment. So, but I'll trust that process. I'll stick to it. And what I've said to him is, I'd rather be in the best shape of my life in 2 years than rush it in 6 months and not be where I want to be. So yeah, it's just kind of stay the course with that. Like if anything, I've been told, you train too much, you're doing too much, to be reined in a little
And
bit.
that's
So
what I think it's a problem that in it as well when you
yeah,
enjoy training, like because you got the size you got without a coach because you enjoy training, so you
yeah, yeah, 100%.
train
Yeah,
hard and heavy, which a lot of people don't do. They go to the gym
yeah,
3 sets of 10 when they've got 18 reps in reserve.
yeah,
So it is hard when people tell you to scale back. I don't know if you're anything like me, like the thought of an actual rest day and doing nothing for a day is fucking painful.
yeah, yeah. That's it. Even my Sunday after having 4 matches, I'll go train arms. That's fun.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a rest day. But but yeah, like yeah, so that's it. Is like I say, we just have to kind of watch this space really. Like I just feel like in a better place, like sort of mentally for being able to kind of sort of tackle that. And there's a lot of plates spinning at the moment, but not dropping any. So
That's
we'll keep on until I do. I think. Yeah.
wicked, mate. So, very last question, mate. It's a question that I'm asking everyone
Yeah. Yeah.
at the end of the podcast, kind of put them on the spot a little bit. What piece of advice would current Ryan give 10-year-old Ryan, now knowing what you know now?
Yeah. I would probably the advice I'd give myself would be to trust in other people, put everything in someone else's hands. Is what I'd probably say, and just make sure that you're surrounded by a good circle of people that mutually have everyone's interests. Like I say, I feel like the happiest, the best training I had was when we had a great group of lads who all went to the gym together, and you celebrate each other's successes like they were your own. So I think that's probably the best advice I give my younger self, or if anyone else is training as well, probably hopefully beneficial to them.
Perfect, mate. Perfect. Great bit of advice. So I really enjoyed that, mate. It was a great chat. I feel like I
Yeah, same.
learned quite a bit about you there as well, mate. It was nice. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and do this, mate. And yeah, it's been fantastic.
Oh, thanks for having me, mate. Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Perfect, mate. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation, everybody. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, all that shit. And yeah, check out the next episode. Take it easy.